Hello and welcome to the Toshogu Podcast, where we break down the latest news, breakthroughs, and ideas shaping the future of artificial intelligence. Today we are exploring a massive foundational shift in the AI landscape. The competitive moat is moving away from simply having the smartest AI model and shifting toward owning the workflow, the execution, and the infrastructure. Let's begin.
Yeah, we're really fundamentally leaving that era of just raw potential, and we're entering this era of applied execution.
Right.
The whole industry is waking up to the reality that just having a clever algorithm, well, it's just no longer enough to build a defensible business.
Which is wild, but the foundation of this entire shift really starts with one undeniable truth. High-level frontier intelligence is rapidly becoming a cheap, abundant commodity.
Oh, absolutely.
Look at what OpenAI just rolled out with their GPT 5.6 update. They introduced these two models, right? Sol and Luna. And what they're doing with consumer access here, it just completely rewrites the rules of the game.
It really does.
Free and Go tier users are now getting the Luna model as their default. And they are rolling out unlimited text chats.
Yeah, and that word right there, unlimited, that's the key word that changes the economics of the entire software industry.
Totally.
When a platform operating at a scale of over 1 billion users just decides to make frontier-grade intelligence effectively boundless for the average consumer intelligence, just ceases to be a scarce resource.
Right.
It becomes, an ambient utility.
It actually reminds me a lot of electricity, or like the GPS grid.
Oh, yeah.
Because decades ago, satellite navigation was this highly restricted, incredibly expensive military-grade tech. But today, it's just an invisible free utility built into every phone.
Exactly.
Like, you don't build a billion-dollar company today by selling access to a raw GPS signal. You build it by using that free signal to create an Uber or a DoorDash, You build the appliances, not the electrical current.
That is a perfect analogy.
But wait, I do want to push back on this a little bit. If a billion-user platform is handing out their top-tier intelligence for free with unlimited use, doesn't that just immediately vaporize the business model of every AI startup trying to sell standalone access to their own models? Like, is raw model access virtually impossible to monetize now?
Honestly, yes. It absolutely guts that business model.
Wow.
You just can't build a thin API anymore and charge a premium for it. Consumers, and businesses for that matter, they won't pay for access to a brain when they can get an equally smart brain for free.
Right. Why would you?
Exactly. So the battlefield has completely shifted to owning the user relationship and the specific workflow. The AI model underneath is really just becoming an interchangeable component.
And we're seeing that exact shift in how they design the user experience for the Plus and Pro users who get the updated Sol model.
Yes, the new interface is super telling.
Right, because instead of making users select a specific technical model architecture from some convoluted drop-down menu, they just introduce this slider to control reasoning effort.
Yeah.
You just slide a toggle between fast, standard, or deep thinking.
And that reasoning slider is a massive product design signal. Software builders really need to pay close attention to this.
Because it hides the plumbing.
Exactly. You should never expose complex technical choices to your end user. An accountant or a lawyer using an AI tool, they don't care about parameter counts or routing architecture.
No, not at all.
They just want an outcome. They want to know if the system is doing a quick sweep of an email or if it's doing deep, multi-step logical reasoning.
Which makes the product instantly intuitive.
Right.
And, the accuracy at that deep end of the slider is crossing a major threshold now.
Oh, the hallucination drop is incredible.
It is. On factual, financial, medical, and legal prompts, factual errors dropped by about 62% with Luna and a staggering 68% with Sol compared to the old GPT 5.5 instant.
Yeah, and a nearly 70% drop in hallucinations in those specific domains. That is the difference between a fun brainstorming toy and a highly reliable enterprise utility.
Oh, for sure. Because in medicine or law, a factual error isn't just a typo, it's a catastrophic liability.
Exactly. And by suppressing those errors so dramatically, we're finally crossing that viability threshold where large conservative institutions can actually start deploying this in production.
So if you were listening to this right now and you're building an intelligent product, the takeaway is pretty clear. Do not sell access to intelligence.
Right.
You need to sell the transformation. Sell the process of taking raw human knowledge and turning it into a finished, structured asset while keeping all those underlying models completely invisible.
Yes, the intelligence is just the engine block, right? You have to build the rest of the car.
Right. Which means simply answering user questions in a chat window just isn't enough anymore.
No, not at all. Because intelligence is so commoditized, the real value is moving beyond chat and actually using that intelligence to complete real-world actions.
And Google is making a highly aggressive play here. Like, they're expanding their Ask Maps feature with some serious agentic capabilities.
Yeah, they understand that the ultimate goal isn't to build a better chatbot.
So let's walk through how this actually works. Say you're driving and you ask Maps to find a specific dish, maybe like a highly rated pad thai along your route.
Okay.
Ask Maps doesn't just spit back a list of blue links or restaurant websites for you to read while you're behind the wheel.
Which would be super dangerous anyway.
Exactly. The agent identifies the restaurants, it scans the menus, factors in your travel time, and can actually put the dish into a digital cart for your review.
It's amazing.
And they are launching these food ordering partnerships right now with point-of-sale giants like Square and Toast, and Uber Eats is planned next alongside this completely new universal commerce protocol for food.
Right, and that protocol part is what makes it so powerful. Because to make an AI agent order food reliably, Google can't just have it blindly clicking around on thousands of poorly designed local restaurant websites.
Right, web scraping is way too brittle for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this universal commerce protocol for food, it's basically a shared language. It standardizes menus and real-time inventory across completely disparate point-of-sale systems.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so an AI agent can read and interact with it natively without ever needing a human user interface.
And on top of that, Ask Maps can connect directly to your Gmail, with your permission, obviously.
Right.
So it pulls in your flight confirmations, your hotel check-in times, and it builds this comprehensive context window of all your travel logistics.
So wait, is the ultimate goal here to just hide the AI completely so the user only experiences a completed outcome, like dinner ordered and ready?
Yes, that is exactly the goal. I mean, if
Uh-huh.
we zoom out, this represents a fundamental transition in how we interact with the internet.
How so?
Well, for the last 2 decades, consumer behavior was entirely defined by search, right? You search, you get a list of links.
Right.
Then search evolved into recommendation algorithms, like social feeds pushing content to you.
But now, recommendation is evolving into personalized decision-making, which ultimately culminates in transaction preparation.
Transaction preparation, that is a wild concept.
It is. The AI autonomously weighs constraints like your route, your schedule, your preferences, and it does all the heavy lifting to literally prep a transaction for you.
And it totally bypasses the whole idea of an AI app. Like, people aren't going to navigate to some separate application just to talk to a digital assistant anymore.
No, they won't.
Google is embedding these agents into high-frequency utilities that billions of people already use every single day.
Because friction is the ultimate killer of software adoption. If you want people to use AI, don't ask them to change their habits. Just infuse the capability into a tool they already trust.
But, you know, this level of integration, it definitely introduces a massive vulnerability.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I was just thinking it's incredibly convenient to have AI prep my dinner order, but I definitely need a system that stops my AI agent from deciding I need $40 of late-night Taco Bell when I'm on a strict diet.
Right, right.
But jokes aside, if an autonomous agent has access to my credit card, my email, and my daily calendar, the risk of things going disastrously wrong scales exponentially.
It really does. Autonomy without infrastructure is just automated chaos.
Seriously.
Think about it. If an agent hallucinates while drafting an email, you just delete a paragraph. But if it hallucinates while it has API access to a corporate bank account, you have a financial disaster on your hands.
Which is exactly where AWS is stepping in, right? Because they are building these new guardrails directly into the infrastructure layer with their updates to Amazon Bedrock Agent Core.
Yes, the temporal policies and the advanced rate limiting.
Right. So to understand why these temporal policies are so crucial, we kind of have to compare it to traditional security, right?
Right. Traditional application security is mostly stateless. It evaluates a single isolated request at a moment in time.
Like a security guard just checking if an employee's ID badge opens the front door of the office. Does this badge have clearance? Yes or no?
Exactly. But AI agents require a state-aware architecture. Yeah, meaning the system doesn't just look at the single action. It looks at the entire sequence of events leading up to it. So to borrow your analogy, a state-aware security guard notices that the employee who just badged in also entered the server room at 3 in the morning carrying an empty duffel bag.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. and decides that maybe this specific sequence of behaviors means they shouldn't be allowed to open the secure safe. Because an individual API call made by an AI might look perfectly benign on its own, but a specific sequence of actions could actually be a data breach.
So AWS is essentially building the digital equivalent of corporate expense rules.
Pretty much.
Like, you don't just hand an employee a corporate card with zero limits. A temporal policy evaluates an action based on what the agent has already done during that specific session.
Right, it enforces a strict workflow sequence.
Exactly. So it can mandate that a tool argument used in Step 3 must perfectly match the output that was approved way back in Step 1.
And it also checks for data freshness, which is huge. Like if an agent is making a financial trade or booking a flight, the policy ensures it isn't acting on context it gathered 30 minutes ago, which might be completely outdated by now.
And they added rate limiting, too, which is highly granular. It spans per user and per group controls across different tools and models.
Yeah, so an agent doesn't accidentally spin up 10,000 concurrent sessions and bankrupt a company's server budget.
Right. And most importantly, it mandates human approval for privileged, high-impact actions. It dictates, like, you can draft the email and pull the data, but a human manager has to physically click the confirm button before the money actually moves.
Identity, permissions, sequence rules, human-in-the-loop approvals, these are rapidly becoming the mandatory infrastructure for enterprise trust.
It's the new foundation.
It is. Moving forward, having this robust state-aware control plane won't just be a back-end requirement. It's going to be the primary selling point for software vendors selling to enterprise clients who are frankly terrified of autonomous AI liability.
Well, rightfully so. So, okay, we have the models becoming cheap and ubiquitous. We have agents taking real-world physical action. And we have the enterprise security layer evolving to lock it all down.
Right.
But to support millions, or eventually billions, of these secure agents constantly executing tasks in the background, the physical metal beneath it all is being forced to adapt.
Oh, definitely. We are entering the second major infrastructure boom of the AI revolution.
The first boom being training, right?
Exactly. Companies spent billions buying massive clusters of general-purpose GPUs to train these models. But the next phase is inference.
Just actually running the models.
Right. Inference is the everyday running of the model when a user asks a question or an agent executes a task. And inference is where the long-term, recurring economic battle will actually be fought.
And the hardware giants are placing very different bets on how to win that battle.
They really are.
Take AMD, for example. They just announced this acquisition of a company called Taalas, which designs specialized AI inference silicon.
Yeah, their stated goal is to optimize inference data flows to reduce compute and memory bottlenecks.
With plans to integrate this technology directly into their AMD Instinct GPUs. But why go through all that trouble?
Well, you have to look at how a standard GPU operates. Standard graphics processing units were originally designed to render video games,
Right.
which means they're built to solve millions of different graphics math problems simultaneously. But AI inferences doesn't need all that varied architecture.
So Taalas strips that away.
Yes, they strip away all that unnecessary general-purpose architecture and build physical pathways on the silicon chip designed exclusively for answering AI text and logic prompts.
Oh, wow. So by physically hardwiring the chip for that specific task, you drastically cut down the power consumption and the latency.
Exactly, because as AI moves into high-volume production, the only metrics that matter to a company running these servers are the cost per useful task, the speed of the response, and the electricity required.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, AMD's acquisition really signals that just throwing general-purpose chips at inference is no longer economically viable. The hardware has to specialize.
Meanwhile, NVIDIA is taking a pretty different approach to specialization by emphasizing this open physical AI stack called Cosmos 3.
Right.
They are releasing adaptable world models meant specifically for simulation, robotics, and vision systems. But what really stands out to me here is that they're releasing completely different sizes.
Yeah, the parameter counts.
Right. They have a 64 billion parameter supermodel, a 16 billion nano, and a 4 billion edge variant.
And parameter count is essentially a measure of the model's brain size and complexity, right? So a 64 billion parameter model is massive. It requires a lot of compute power and typically has to run in a cloud data center, which means a robot has to send data over the internet and wait for a response.
But that 4 billion parameter edge variant is small enough and compressed enough that it can run locally on the physical robot's internal computer chip.
Yes, which eliminates the internet lag time entirely.
Which is critical. If a robotic arm is swinging around in a factory, you really cannot afford a 2-second network delay before it realizes a human just stepped in front of it.
Precisely. And by making these models open weights, NVIDIA is basically giving developers the actual neural architecture to download, tinker with, and integrate into their own proprietary robotic hardware.
So they're pushing open specialization.
Right.
But then, on the complete opposite side of the philosophical spectrum, you have Meta.
Oh, yeah.
Meta recently published a detailed breakdown of why they are continuing to aggressively invest in and operate their own proprietary AI data centers.
They are prioritizing a completely closed, vertically integrated strategy from the silicon straight up to the data center.
All in service of their long-term goal of building personal superintelligence.
It creates a really fascinating divergence in the ecosystem. Like, you have openness at the model and application layer like NVIDIA, providing open weights, so anyone can build a vision system for a drone. But you also have vertical integration at the infrastructure layer, which is Meta's playbook.
Right, allowing them to tightly control costs.
Exactly, and strategically optimize every layer of their own ecosystem.
Okay, so considering all of this inference costs falling, specialized silicon emerging, and this massive philosophical split between open ecosystems and closed vertical fortresses, why would any developer or startup lock their product architecture into one single vendor's economics right now?
They shouldn't. They absolutely should not.
Right.
The most successful builders of the next 5 years will remain fiercely model agnostic. You do not need to build the infrastructure, and you do not need to train the foundational model.
Let the giants fight it out.
Exactly. Let AMD, NVIDIA, Meta, and OpenAI fight a brutal multi-billion-dollar war over driving inference costs to zero and optimizing the hardware.
Yeah, let them spend their capital on the data centers and the specialized silicon.
Exactly. And building on that, your defensible advantage as a startup or a builder should rely entirely on taking that increasingly cheap, interchangeable intelligence and transforming it into a structured product.
Right.
Like, if you are mapping out a workflow for your users, you route the simple, low-value tasks to the cheapest, fastest models available on the market that day.
Makes sense.
And you reserve the expensive, heavy, frontier-grade intelligence only for the complex reasoning stages where it tangibly changes the quality of the final output. The end user never even knows which model is firing.
They just experience a flawless, finished result.
Exactly.
The standalone AI model is no longer the product, it's really just the raw material.
Yes.
And as these models become cheaper, perfectly interchangeable components hidden behind seamless workflows and state-aware security guardrails, we arrive at this really fascinating realization.
What's that?
Intelligence itself is going to be everywhere. It's going to be ambient. So the true scarcity in the world will no longer be raw intelligence.
Right, because everyone will have it.
Exactly. The next great frontier might just be human intent. It's knowing exactly what to ask for. It's possessing that unique human context, the nuanced taste, and the lived experience that tells these invisible machines what actually matters. Like, the AI can execute the logistics of the order perfectly, but only you know what you actually want for dinner.
That is incredibly well said.
That's all for today's episode of the Toshogu Podcast. If you enjoyed it, like this episode, subscribe, and join us next time for the latest in AI. Until then, keep building what outlives you.